Welcome back, everybody. Welcome back to the Tomb of Illumination. This is the part 4 of a series I'm doing, exposing all the secrets of the universe. Well, maybe not all of them, but you're going to be blown away when you get to the end and find what I've discovered and what I've explained. Information never brought together, never exposed before, never explained properly. So hang in there till the end. Start from video 1, work your way through. There could be, this is the 4th, there could be another 2 or 3 after this. Just depends on how much I want to put into this series. But I just noticed downloading, or uploading one of the videos, video 1, it cut short. It finished up abruptly. So I was in the middle of describing the Milky Way and how it works, how one end's back in the centre of creation, back to the black hole, on the horizon of the black hole actually, because that's where the sun is, because the Milky Way is in the sun. It's attached, let's just say it's at the end of the Milky Way for now, okay? And one end is out where we see it, the image we see in the tropical gap. So there's the unseen and the seen. There's some churches and cults that talk about this sort of stuff. Remember, thinking back, my daughter went to a church like that, where they're blessing the seen and the unseen. Well, you might have had some divine connection, I don't know. But anyway, there's the unseen and the black hole centre of creation here. And the other end out here in our realm where we see it is the visual, the image. They're all just images. Nothing's physical above us, okay? It would be pretty silly of Jesus to put, or God, to create our realm with stuff above us that could kill us, fall on us and kill us. No, that's a bit frickin' simple. So here's the Milky Way. And what it does over the day, 24 hours, is it wanders around like this, all the way around our Earth. Coming out of the centre, out to the tropic region here, like this, all the way around. And also, as I was showing in the earlier video, I hope it was, is the sun in the Milky Way shines across the black hole. So it's facing centre of the hole all the time. So the back side is out here, behind the Milky Way. Okay, there's a day side and the back side. And globies think we don't know how to explain all that, because they haven't spent the time to learn some facts, actual reality, truth. No, they just go with the indoctrination. So, see, day and night moves. What do we get at the back of the sun? The full moon. I'll go over this again. I'm not sure if I put in the video, so it ran short. This is where the full moon is. Obviously daytime's that tight. Full moon arrives right bang on behind the sun. That's the alignment. They say it's science. Doesn't science tell you it's opposite the sun or something? Well, no, it's not opposite the sun, it's behind the sun. And the full moon is illuminated, isn't it? Well, it's self-illuminating. So as the sun turns every day, it laps the moon over 1 month. And as it's catching up to the moon starts being drawn back into it. The moon's going around every day, but it winds back in, right into the face of the sun. So when it comes into the face, it's actually in the face. It's on this side of the hole. So they're opposite sides of the hole at new moon, in the face of the light. That's why we do not see it. So you can start imagining why you get the phasings. As the sun's turning in towards the moon, that's how you're getting your phasing. And it's the turning, getting closer to the moon, the sun catching up to the moon, is what's drawing the moon in. But it's all turning in the one direction. Because the moon's quick, the sun's quicker. It's the first horse on the horizon of the black hole, and the track's out here. So the full moon's basically out here at Saturn, because it wanders across to feed its children every month. That's the father, the moon's the mother. The 5 planets are the children. As above, so below. Think of it like that. So she's out there feeding the children coming. So it's all about frequencies, feeding the frequencies. It's what makes up all the different identities of people on Earth. There's so much variance there. You've got all the star alignments, then you've got the moon's contribution going in and out across them. You got the position of the sun. So bear in mind the moon sign. The moon sign, your moon sign, of the only person that's told the world this, is at your conception, not your physical birth. The sun is your physical birth, coming into the light of the world. The moon is your conception. So backtracking on to find that is up to you. You've got to find a way to find that out. I've given a few tips in my previous videos. And this series is concerning the alignment of the Milky Way in the two fields. The southern one meeting the northern one. The mirrored image. Okay? And that, it's all about the central gap, this tropical central gap. Okay? I think I've talked about that, but I'm not sure. I'll have to go back and check out those videos. But anyway, the last video finished while I was talking about the mythological, what every culture thought of Sirius, their interpretation. We're down to the Polynesian version now. So, just as the appearance of Sirius is in the morning sky marked summer in Greece, so it marked the chilly onset of winter for the Maori. And you see, in New Zealand we're told that it's the start of the new year for the Maori, which is total rubbish. I knew this way back. I did this massive post on Facebook. But people just they're just not awake to all the true information, the truth. So you think, well, why the heck would a culture create the beginning of their year in the middle of flipping winter? It's not logical, it's stupid. And you've got all these other cultures on the northern hemisphere celebrating it in summer. Well, because it represents a divine period. It's the arrival of Sirius. Despite whether you're in the northern hemisphere or the southern hemisphere, it's where Sirius arrives, on the horizon. The eastern horizon is the start of the holy season. Okay? Start of the holy period, 9 months. So, Hawaiian, I went over this, I think, called it the Queen of Heaven. It was representing the feminine aspect that comes into the man during his divine awakening. It's associated with this period. Many other Polynesian names have been recorded, including Tauaua in the Marquesas Islands, Rehua in New Zealand, and Ahaku Kauopu in Hawaii. So the notes I've made here: Maori have Matariki, July 14th. July 14th, so you must arrive on July 14th, but I never see it because it's always cloudy, rainy, wet in that period. So in New Zealand we don't normally see it till it gets about 30 degrees off the horizon. Well, horizon up. So it's the mark of this season as soon as that arrives, okay? Basically all the cultures knew it was the start of the Enlightenment season. Ancient Egyptian, they have all these ceremonies and all that. Very divine period. So what are we going to know? The sundog arrives in July. Okay, so that's the Polynesian version. Moving along. Okay, the new year. Sirius was both, this must be regarding Egyptian, Sirius was both the most important star of ancient Egyptian astronomy and one of the decans, star groups, into which the night sky was divided. So there's the two systems. There's a dual system. You can think of the dual system. And a lot of these things I say, even Trinity. So the dual system would be the division between Sirius and Antares at the other end, the other horizon. Or you think of the dual system here. The northern field meeting the southern field, crossing at this divine gap. So that's separation. What do they say? Divided. It's divided. With each group appearing for 10 days annually. Each group appearing for 10 days annually. Not sure what they mean by that. the heliacal rising. The first night that Sirius is seen was just before dawn. Was noticed every year during July. Early Egyptians used this mark for the start of the new year. Well, that's BS too, because the Egyptian New Year is more like, well, it's actually supposed to be the 6th of September. That's the day of creation. Everything started there in ancient Egypt, because they tell the whole story, the whole divine story of creation, Jesus' story and everything. But somewhere along the line, someone's interpreted it as 11th of September. So I just thought, well, the 6th plus the holy 5 days brought it to 11th. So I don't know what's going on there. But really, it should have been the 6th of September. So it's all just associated when this turns up, that's the time to celebrate, because it's the start of this holy season, not the start of a year. Misinterpretations. Right, the opening of the year. It was celebrated with the festival known as the coming of Sopdet. As early as the first dynasty, Sophis was known as the bringer of the new year and the Nile flood. When Sirius appeared in the sky each year, the Nile generally started to flood and bring fertility to the land. The ancient Egyptians connected the two events, and so Sophet took on the aspect of the goddess of not only the star and of the inundation, the flood, but of the fertility that came to the land of Egypt with the flood. The flood and the rising of Sirius also marked the ancient Egyptian New Year, and so also was thought of as a goddess of the new year. So right there is the whole divine story of the Christian enlightenment, or religious enlightenment, because it's all connected. The whole Egyptian Nile flood is connected to man's flood, the holy flood, the Noah flood, where this fluid floods through his system, leaves his pineal gland high and dry, like Noah's Ark up on the mountain. It's all connected. And then you look on a map and look at the top of the Nile, up at Alexandria region there, you get the river shaped as the nervous system of the spine, and up top is all the ligaments, or whatever you want to call them, to the human brain. It's in that image. Man is from the earth. We're all connected. It's the whole divine story in Egyptian mythology is all in the physical form on earth, because as above, so below. That's what people have to understand. You're not taught that in church. Most church goers don't even know anything about the celestial movements or the zodiac, because they've been so falsely indoctrinated, even though the Vatican used to have the most expensive or sophisticated telescopes in the world. They probably still do own them. Why is there a big pineal gland pine cone sitting in the flippin' Basilica frickin' courtyard there? Vatican courtyard. Because they know. But they're keeping it from you because they want separation between you down there as their slaves and them as knowing. Why do you think they say billionaires follow the stars? Millionaires don't. Anyone can be a millionaire. Billionaires follow the stars, the celestial occurrences of everything. This is why it's all deep in Freemason philosophy. We'll go on here. As early as the first dinner, read all that, haven't we? The flood, yeah, okay. Her aspect of being a fertility goddess was not just linked to the Nile. By the Middle Kingdom, she was believed to be a mother goddess and a nurse goddess. This is delving into the feminine aspect that comes into the male when he reaches enlightenment. His other half. He's got the physical and he needs to incorporate the spiritual. That makes him singular. That's enlightenment. This is why they're talking about her being the mother, like it's the whole Jesus story. The mother, the birth of creation, because it's all to do with the moon. This event is to do with this person, this man's moon sign, who's the mother. the nurse. So it's all about creating Jesus. It's all about rebirth. So in the Bible, how can a grown man be reborn? Well, because he's not physically reborn, spiritual birth. No, she's a goddess. Changing her from a goddess of agriculture to a goddess of motherhood. So you're going to associate with the earth and the spiritual. This probably was due to her strong connections with the mother goddess Isis. Yes, because Isis represented the night sky, the moon, and what else is happening around there, star alignments, everything, in the Milky Way. Not just a goddess of the waters of inundation. Sopdet had another link with water. She was believed to cleanse the Pharaoh in the afterlife. It is interesting to note that the embalming of the dead took 70 days, but it's really 3 months. The same amount of time that Sirius was not seen in the sky before its early rising. She was a goddess of fertility to both the living and the dead. Okay? Meaning living, physical world, dead, spiritual world maybe. There's a dual system there too though. So, this is the light of man cycle, spiritual enlightenment season. But then when Antares reaches the western horizon, then we get the 3 months. It's basically gone down into Amente before it comes up and goes through our nice season again. This is the, we're going to go into that a little bit more. The embalming season, the afterworld, the underworld. Okay, the dark season you say, the light side, dark side. You're not 50-50 in this situation though. So it disappears for 3 months, right? So this is because the sun catches up. Hides Orion the whole season here for 3 months as it's in the light of the sun during the day. Then the sun moves ahead and moves off it. Then starts exposing it again. That's how it works. Everything in our night sky all moves in the one motion. It's all going around this way actually. You throw that up on over your head in the northern hemisphere, it's all anti-clockwise, isn't it? But then we look out south, we're in the south, we see it the other way around. That's in other videos if you want to go back and check out my older videos. In the pyramid text, she is the goddess who prepares yearly sustenance for the Pharaoh. So you say that Pharaoh is the born again one, he's the holy one. In this her name of year. In this her name of year. She is also thought to be a guide in the afterlife for the Pharaoh, letting him fly into the sky to join the gods. This because the enlightened one gains immortality. Because he's raised his Kundalini, he's raised his soul. He's the only one who gets the soul raised. Unless you go through this heavenly rebirth, you do not raise your soul. Despite what you might think, going to church, thinking you're born again, because you went down to the lake to get, what's it called? Baptized. It's a spiritual event. We're not all going to be gods. Not in this realm, not in this cycle of man. Only a few. So, because it's conscious state. If you're not believing what I'm telling you, you're never going to be in that conscious realm. It'll never happen to you. You have to know the truth or be aligned with it close enough, because the more BS you know, you're indoctrinated with, that's stuck in your head, you're never going to open your mind up and go, whoa, and this event will never happen to you. You have to realise this. Christians, you need to start thinking. You've been suckered. Your church, it's a con. I don't want to upset anybody because this is all holy stuff. You just got to know the truth, not their silly church version. So, she is also thought to be a guide to the afterlife for the Pharaoh, letting him fly into the sky, because he becomes godlike, you see. After he dies, he becomes godlike. He's made it. He's got the free pass go now. He can do what he likes. He can come down again if he wants, in whatever form he chooses. You know? But the average person who doesn't understand, hasn't got an open mind, he just dies and gets flushed back into the gurgler, basically, goes through the system, the recycling system. Either go through the black hole or you go through the sun. A lot of people see the sun, see the light of the sun, but you got to get up there, and that's when you get weighed. Are you going to continue on through the sun, or are you going to be flushed down? There's a bit more to that, because I won't get into that. It's a bit more complicated. Okay. Letting him fly into the sky to join the gods, showing him godly roads in the field of reeds, and helping him become one of the imperishable stars. Imperishable. Wow. So when you think about it, because what happens is they've got this big vortex in the centre here, so it's full of stars. And they are slowly going down through the system, through the recycling system, I think. But you've got all the Milky Way stars here too, and they are slowly winding in here too, over time. So they will finally wind in and go down here over millions of years, or thousands, whatever, as the sun's rolling around inside. This thing's rolling, it's being slowly sucked down the gurgler too. But you've also got to realise, this is the feminine aspect. All the stars in here are the female. They come up through this way. But this is the male aspect, and they all go down through this way. Male going into the female, see? So the average person doesn't get to go through this tube. I'm not going to get in that right now, because it's a bit, I'd put my mind to that a bit more. What have we got here? Field of, showing him godly roads in the field of reeds, and helping him become one of the imperishable stars. She was thought to be living on the horizon, encircled by the duat. So, they might have misinterpreted that. There's the sun's on the horizon, circled by the duat, the jewel system. Jewel. You got the black hole and the jewel system racing around it. And that's back in creation, but then you have to imagine the worldly system we have out here in the tropical gap. The dual system between these two fields here. Because you have the two fields in the physical world here. Back in creation with the two fields around the black hole. Because Earth is from the hole. Earth is from that flipping black hole in there. The place of rest. That's why Earth is fixed and stationary. And all the action is around it. Okay, that's why it's classed as fixed and stationary. And everything, all the energy expands out from the centre. So does man expand as he moves from the centre out to the south. Everything not fixed part of the earth expands as you move south. She was thought to be living on the horizon, encircled by the duat, paralleling the story of Osiris and Isis. Paralleling. The Pharaoh was believed to have had a child with Sophet. This is the divine enlightenment. That's the alignment. The sun and the moon together in the Milky Way. That's the tomb, okay? I've done videos on that if you want to check them out earlier. The Milky Way coming around, swinging over the moon, getting the female in the tomb with the sun under the Milky Way. The whole Jesus story. Right, Sumer. In the Sumerian civilization, predating the Egyptians, their epic poem, Epic of Gilgamesh, describes a dream of Gilgamesh where the hero is drawn irresistibly to a heavy star that cannot be lifted despite immense effort. Cannot be lifted. Well, probably because the star's going over like that. You can't bring it back. You can't lift it back. It's going down. Too heavy. Get that? Or magnetically locked. If you go back into the centre of creation here, everything's magnetically locked in there. Well, the horizon of the black hole is. But the like I say, things eventually start coming down the gurgler. This star descends from heaven to him and is described as having a very potent essence and being. The god of heaven, Gilgamesh, had for his companions 50 oarsmen in the great ship Argo, a constellation bordering Canis Major where Sirius is found. Yeah, well, you're probably talking about the 50 main stars in this 9 months. Okay? And it's a heavenly God, heavenly sent thing down to man. It affects his brain, mind, the water, because the full moon is magnetic and moves the water of the earth and the water in the man's brain. That's man's flood, and then we have an earthly flood, apparently. Earthly flood. What's that connection? Haven't really got onto that one. There was never any worldly earthly flood. Oh, okay. The only time it was flooded is before the sun was created. It's right back at creation. But as far as we are concerned as humans, Earth has always been here. Okay? It's because it's a conscious state. It's always been here. But if you go back and use your mind and think about creation, it's all flooded. Then the sun was created. And what happens when you've got a hot sun? Water starts coming up off the sea. That's what filled our firmament. Moisture. It's all moisture up there, thanks to the sun. The sun went out, completely disappeared. All that moisture would come back down and would probably flood the earth. But you go into some science books, they say, oh, there's only so much water in the atmosphere. It wouldn't flood the earth. But I don't know. I don't trust them. But that's basically what the story is. Telling you there's a flood. Or, if that's not the case, it's to do with the Axis Mundi, the Mount Meru. There was a mountain in the centre of the earth, and in some story it broke off and fell into the sea. We are now living in darkness, you see. So one day, hopefully, that will come back up, because through the recycling system of Earth is always going down and fresh Earth is coming up. So in time, that may come back up to the centre again. Then we'll be in the age, well, we should all be enlightened. That's the goal, to all be enlightened, to know the truth and the way. So, we've done that. We're going to move into the exciting bit now. Bring up the other picture. Oh, where's the other? Oh, it's in behind here. Okay, so understanding Sirius is the dog star. Now, there's Sirius. Well, this is another depiction. You've got to get your head around this one, it's a bit tricky. So, this is the Milky Way. Okay? This is the shape of the Milky Way. And we see this big glowing, it's no good. Nighttime photography, astrophotography, see the big glowing back of the sun in there, don't they?